Well, let's get to our first story now, and of course, we're talking politics. An NDC flag bearer hopeful, Dr. Duffuor, says his reason for contesting the upcoming primaries is to make all Ghanaians prosperous, since he has what it takes to win the 2024 polls. The former finance minister will on May the 13th face stiff competition from frontrunner John Dramani Mahama and Kojo Bonsu. Joseph Akakpo of our political desk now reports.
I would ask them to help me fix the economy. Right now, the biggest challenge we are facing is the economy. We are all hungry. We are hungry as people. There are tears in the eyes of Ghanaians everywhere. They should help me wipe the tears from the eyes of Ghanaians, soothe the pain in the hearts of Ghanaians. That requires a leader with the courage to change things, to change the status quo. That's what I will do.
The state of Ghana's economy remains a major concern to the man touted for his economic prowess. He comes into the race with a vast experience as a former governor of the Bank of Ghana and a former finance minister. He believes he can turn around the economy.
Every Ghanaian, no matter the birth of his or her circumstances, should have equal opportunity in our system to achieve whatever he or she wants to achieve. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. That dream will bring about prosperity and happiness. That dream will make all of us become very patriotic. That dream will make us be loyal to Ghana, our motherland, not to any political party or to any individual. Because we're not loyal to our nation, because we're not very patriotic enough.
But this won't come easy. He'll have to first win the May 13 primaries. He'll face off with former President John Dramani Mahama and Kojo Bonsu. The Economist Intelligence Unit in its April 2023 country report on Ghana noted that the NDC can revitalize its prospect of electoral victory with a new candidate such as Dr. Duffuor. The former finance minister believes he stands a better chance.
I'll ask my colleagues to help me do that. No one person solves a problem. And no one person is big enough to do anything. That's why in the Bible, the Creator himself, when he was creating a man, said, let us create what? Let us. In the Bible, the Lord never said, I. No, he said, let us. He could have made man himself, but he said, let us create a man in our own image. What was the meaning? I want the NDC people to join me. We should all move forward, fix the economy, work together for the prosperity of this nation.
He has so far introduced the Hohoe project geared at making resources available to the party at the grassroots level. In a store of various parts of the country, he assures delegates he has more for them.
We will make sure that the party structures will be strengthened, that the workers in our offices will be well remunerated. Because, as we said, I see a regional offices, regions, the constituency of the society building, because MP before will be baby, you need to be arranged. And so, we are bigger than the group. We have to strengthen our party, make sure that at every constituency we have our own offices.
Only time will tell if Dr. Duffuor will be able to win the May 13 primaries.
Now, a businessman, Frank Ankucha, is urging the National Democratic Congress to cash their hopes on him to rescue the Hohoe parliamentary seat from the governing New Patriotic Party. He says he has the capacity to contribute to the development of the constituency and the growth of the NDC. He disclosed that projects and programs contained in his Agenda for Restoration and Jobs and More manifesto would promote youth development and make the NDC appealing to constituents. Here's Fred Kwame-Asari's report.
Mr. Nkuche's Agenda for Restoration and Jobs and More manifesto covers areas of job creation, capacity building, skills development, education, agriculture, industry, and economic growth. He and his team aims at delivering these policies and programs within a year after his election to represent the people of Hohoe in Parliament. He threw light on the introduction of an insurance policy to reward branch and constituency executives.
I've done a health insurance policy for all the delegates, which I would say the whole country, an individual doing a health insurance policy for the delegates is the first time. And that's the kind of reward system our executives always complain about. Because the party in Hohoe normally says that they've worked. People say they've worked and they have nothing to show for. And those were part of the reasons we lost our 2020 elections. Because delegates were peeved, they were angry with the fact that they've worked for the party several years and they've not received anything for that. So I've come in with an agenda for restoration and jobs. And restoration means what? We want to restore the party to its past glory. All the people that are angry, that have left the party, the delegates, the executives that have been working for the party, that people don't, recognize them. I've brought a policy or policies that will give them some recognition, give them some opportunities, give them some relief. Hence the introduction of the health insurance policy.
Mr. Nkuche said his contribution to the growth of the party proves beyond all reasonable doubt that he would deliver the Hohoe seat to the NDC in 2024.
For all, I would like to tell my followers to engage in clean campaigns and tell the delegates that the best candidate, the only one that can match John Peter Amewu, because they can see my work, they can see everything I'm doing in this constituency. The only person that can match John Peter Amewu is me, Frank Nkuche. So they should look at the things I'm doing, the things I've done in the past, my track record, and vote for me so that I can continue the good works I'm doing. 2024 elections is not going to be about rhetorics. It's not going to be about just talking, but it's going to be someone who will bring in action. It's going to be more of action and less talk. So I'm in for action, I am doing it, and I'll continue to do it. So delegates should look at me and vote for me based on what I've done for the party and my track record, and me as the only one that can take the seat back for the party.
He faces competition from Christine Afifi-Akpoe, Theophilus Kojoji Megan, Thomas Wolanyo Chekpo, Kondobre Victor Herman, and Vera Haibo. Fred Kwame-Asari, Joy News, Hohoe.
Or staying on the political front, the minority in Parliament is pushing for the immediate introduction of a debt ceiling after Parliament approved more than $700 million in loans at an emergency sitting on Tuesday. Both former Minority Leader Haruna Iddrisu and the current Minority Leader Dr. Kasiala Tuforsen say there must be an immediate introduction of a debt ceiling to curb excessive borrowing of successive governments, with Ghana's debt stock hovering around 600 billion Ghana cedis. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante now reports.
At a one-day emergency sitting, up to 8 loans and financing agreements were approved by the House, totaling more than $700 million. Former Minority Leader Haruna Iddrisu insists a debt ceiling must be introduced immediately.
We must say no to further borrowing by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and by Ken Ofori-Atta. This House must stand strong in saying that we will not approve of any additional borrowing. Whether it's concessionary is what you have wheeled the economy to the nadir of failure, and therefore coming to ask for additional borrowing, that the Parliament of Ghana is comfortable to grant approval for a loan when you have borrowed to over close to 100% of GDP. Where does this happen in the world? This House, I have said it before, if the Majority Leader will recall, even this Parliament must make sure that as a rule of thumb into the future, not just this administration, governments will come and go, presidents will come and go, there must be a debt ceiling in this country.
Current Minority Leader Dr. Kesela Duffuor had also pushed for a rejection of all these agreements put before MPs.
Mr. Speaker, I do not believe that now is the time for us to take additional loans. Speaker, as we speak, our country is simply insolvent. Mr. Speaker, we have defaulted in the repayment of our external debt. We have also defaulted in the repayment of our domestic debt. Aside that, just last week, one of the rating agencies that Ghana government has contracted has downgraded Ghana to restrictive default. The Speaker, simply put, we are in a deep hole. The Speaker, what I know is that when you are in a hole, the first thing you do is to stop digging.
His colleague, the Majority Leader, Oseche Mensah Bonsu, agreed with this position in principle.
My former colleague, the Minority Leader, was talking about the fact that we should not borrow excessively beyond a certain threshold. I agree with him. And I've argued in this House that, yes, Parliament should make a determination on this. How to actualize it is a difficulty. We cannot just say that we should not exceed a ceiling or a ratio, a debt to GDP ratio of, let's say, 70%. And then we say that a government comes, it borrows up to 70%. The next succeeding government has no space. So they should not be allowed to borrow for development. 6 loan agreements, 1 on-lending agreement, and some revenue bills. These are the matters that excited Parliament's attention at this emergency meeting. $60.6 million as a third additional financing for COVID-19, $150 million to finance the West Africa Food System Resilience Program, $30 million to finance medical equipment provision project in response to COVID-19, $150 million to finance primary healthcare investment project, and a number of loan agreements, all now passed, about $710 million now added to Ghana's debt stock. The minority have concerns. Of course, they lost the vote when it came to it on the floor of Parliament because they simply did not have the numbers, unlike their colleagues on the majority side. But they are warning that if this debt continues being piled on, Ghana will get to a position where its economic destruction will simply be irreversible. Parliament has adjourned Sinidin again, and it's expected that by the end of this month, Parliament will now resume properly so-called to deal with matters of national concern. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
And our next story, pressure is mounting on telecom companies to answer how multiple strange numbers have been linked to people's Ghana cards. Customers are questioning the integrity of the re-registration exercise, wondering how safe their cards and biometric data are following the flaws discovered with the system. Government commenced the mandatory exercise in 2021, hoping to put together a proper SIM card registry. Here's a News Desk report explaining how the exercise was initiated.
I therefore take this opportunity to urge all who've not registered or are yet to register their SIM cards to do so. The deadline of 31st July is a few days away. It will not be extended.
The stern warning from Minister of Communications and Digitalization, Esla Owusu Ekufo, urging people to partake in the mandatory SIM card re-registration. The exercise took off in October 2021, targeting 26 million Ghanaians with the aim of setting up a central SIM registry and ridding the system of fraud.
We must make it difficult for the criminals who hack our systems and defraud us through multiple online channels to operate. And this SIM registration exercise is one of the steps the government is taking in that regard.
For the process, one could only register with a Ghana card. No other identification, be it passport, birth certificate, is accepted. Government believes that the Ghana card was the only access trusted for the process.
After extensive engagement with identified stakeholders, the following modalities were put in place to guide the implementation of the SIM registration exercise. The use of Ghana card for registration of SIMs in accordance with National Identity Register Regulations 2012 LI 2111 and Subscriber Identity Module Registration Regulations 2011 LI 2006.
However, this particular rule led many who did not have the cards, through no fault of theirs, marginalized. More so, those who had it were subjected to long queues and other challenges with equipment and software at various registration points across the country.
I haven't decided to jump so much, but it's like, you know, I'm at work now and I've been waiting to register with the MTN. They said the network is down. I need to go back to work and I can't waste so much time there. And since I heard the Vodafone one is at least moving a bit faster, I just wanted to, you know, get a new SIM then.
However, a major challenge the ministry was trying to avoid has seeped through the process where unapproved numbers have been linked to people's cards without their knowledge, questioning the integrity of the process. Adum News editor Martha Krentel Aqua is one of the many victims. Up to 16 more SIMs have been registered with her Ghana card without her knowledge.
Immediately the short code was activated, I decided to check how many numbers my Ghana card has been linked to. To my surprise, I had 6 Vodafone numbers linked to my card. I don't use Vodafone. I had 9 Airtel Tigo numbers linked to my card. The only Airtel Tigo number I have is not even on the list. And I had 2 MTN numbers also linked to my card. Of the 2, one is mine, the other is not mine. So, you know, there were 17 numbers linked to my Ghana card. Of the 17, only 1 belonged to me.
But how did we come to this? How many people able to link SIMs to Ghana cards without the knowledge of the card owners? And who did the linking?
Now, the Forestry Commission says the quality of Ghana's vegetative cover has declined due to excessive degradation, including illegal mining activities. At least 34 out of more than 200 forest reserves have been identified as hotbeds for such activities. CEO of the Forestry Commission, John Alote, has been speaking on the state of Ghana's forests at a news conference here in Accra.
Illegal mining remains a major concern to many as water bodies and vegetation cover remain the worst hit by the menace. The Forestry Commission says the quality of Ghana's vegetation cover has declined due to excessive degradation, including illegal mining activities. At least 34 out of more than 200 forest reserves have been identified as hotbeds for such activities. John Alote is the Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission.
To go into the details, we realize that the closed forest was 1.4 million in 2015. As we speak today, it has reduced to 1.2 million, whilst the open forest has increased from 4.3 million in 2015 through 6.5 million in 2019 to 6.6 million. What it means is that whilst the total size of the forest is increasing, the quality of the forest is reducing, which means that there are more open spaces. The canopy is reducing. What it also means is that we are getting more forest area that has gone through excessive degradation. What it means also is that if you have the forest, we are losing more of the content of the forest, but not the size of the forest.
He also disclosed that illegal miners are now using sophisticated weapons to fight officers of the commission, which is causing a major setback to the work of the commission against illegal mining.
The red is an area where we have active illegal mining activity happening. And these are areas where the Forestry Commission is finding it very difficult to deal with the illegal operators. They are in large numbers. They have large number of machines, and they've recruited armed security. So whilst we have a team working in the night. You have another set of team carrying, arms most of the time, AK-47, and guarding those who are working. And I would like to also explain that most of these weapons that they are carrying are not the weapons that the Forestry Commission can contest with. They are carrying AK-47 that can travel about 3 kilometers. Whilst the weapons we are having, the semi-automatic, can only go about 300 meters. So what it means is that to be able to fight these guys, you have to get closer to them, at least within 300 meters, to be able to deal with them. Meanwhile, from 3 kilometers away, they can shoot you. And we can give you the statistics of the number of our workers who have been attacked due to the sophistication and then better power and capacity of the illegal operators in this area.
Meanwhile, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujinapo, has once again questioned the content of a report authored by former chairman of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng.
A suggestion that Professor Frimpong Boateng's report is sacrosanct, is scripture, with the greatest of respect to the good old professor and to his report. I don't think that is how we have to look at it. It has to be interrogated, it has to be examined, and as I said, those parts of it we can take on board, we should. Those parts of it we should jettison, we should. But at the end of the day, what is important is that we remain focused and do the work of the good people of this country.
Prince Kwame Kuduga's report read to you.
It's a wrap for the news, but stay with us. The news review up next as we host Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante.